My name's Trevor Smith. Welcome to Full Burn, where we kick some tires, light some fires, and interview awesome space and defense founders. Today, I'm with Ian Cinnamon of Apex. And where are we today?
We are at the Broadmoor Hotel in Colorado Springs for
beautiful Broadmoor
Space
Hotel.
Yeah, gorgeous. So no better venue to bring everybody together in this industry. It's great.
What excites you about Space Symposium?
Oh man, I mean, in general, I have to admit, I tend to think of conferences as a little bit of a waste of time. Yeah. So not a big fan of them. But that being said, I think Space Symposium is like the premier conference when it comes to bringing together all the right people, right? Which in this case is government officials and commercial, like U.S. commercial companies.
Yeah. So we'll start with this. Who is Ian Cinnamon?
There's a lot behind that.
There's a lot.
We're going to find out today. That's what this drive is for.
That's right. We got 35 minutes. We're good.
I love it. So it's a great question. I'll give you a little bit of the backstory here. So grew up in Los Angeles. Really did not grow up in like a household where my parents were like computer scientists or in aerospace or tech. They were comedy writers.
Oh, so both of them?
Yeah, they work together.
That's awesome.
Great. Isn't that insane?
They work on anything that somebody might have heard of?
Yeah, they're the big show they did in the US was Who's the Boss, if that name rings a bell. And then they ended up doing a lot of work internationally as well, which I think for our company at Apex, right, we do a lot of work in the US, but then we're a big fan of supporting allied nations too. So I think there's a little bit of inspiration that comes from kind of trying to work in a global way, but did not grow up with them being like, oh yes, like, you know, we work in tech or we work in this, right? They were comedy writers, and I just kind of fell in love with technology and what it could enable when I was a little kid, and they were incredibly supportive of like helping make that happen. But that's where it all kind of stemmed from. So all from comedy. That's the basis of everything.
That's a new one. So tell me a little bit about Apex. So most of the interview will be about you, but let's hear a little bit about Apex.
Yeah, so Apex basically takes everything that I had learned from kind of the traditional Silicon Valley mindset of you build a product and you engineer that product and then you go and produce a whole lot of them and you sell the same thing to a bunch of customers. And I spent the bulk of my career in like traditional Silicon Valley, right? I lived up in the Bay Area, raised money from venture investors. And when I started really going deep into aerospace, I think the thing that amazed me was effectively the industry was used to building a new and unique product for every single customer. So like if you make the analogy to like software, right? Imagine you're a software company and you're effectively writing new software for every single customer, right? That would be crazy. It doesn't scale. And that's, I feel like, what aerospace has become. So what Apex really is trying to push back on that and say, we're going to define a real product. We're going to have our engineering team go and scope out that product and design it once. We're going to go build a whole lot of them and then supply it to customers.
So productizing, right? Because you've got a couple of different sizes, right? Yes.
Well, it's, you know, fitting that we're in a car right now because the analogy I like to make is think of us as the automobile manufacturer for satellites. Right? We are the car manufacturer for satellites, right? Like that is exactly how we think about things. So the best way to think about it is like if you're buying a car, right? You could have like a sedan, an SUV, a pickup truck.
Yep.
And for us, right, we have like an ESPA class satellite. ESPA Grande.
What's ESPA? ESPA Grande? Break it down a little bit.
For sure. Yeah. So I had no idea what any of these acronyms and terms meant when I entered the industry. I will say there's so many acronyms in this industry.
There's a lot.
It's insane. So effectively, we think of it as like different sizes of satellites, right? Yeah. So ESPA class, the actual traditional definition of that is like basically like definition from, I think actually now like well over 2 decades ago of like some standard volume. But think of it this way. It's about the size of like a refrigerator. Like that's about the size of an ESPA class satellite.
Okay.
Yeah. And then ESPA Grande, right?
If you go to Starbucks a lot, you know what Grande means.
Exactly. So a little bit bigger. We really should just call it like Tall Grande and Venti. That would be a lot better.
That would be hilarious.
So the ESPA Grande is like 2 refrigerators. And then we go a little bit bigger than that as well. So that's probably the easiest way to think about it.
Well, I've seen one that looked like a little bigger than 2 refrigerators at your place.
Oh yeah. So we have
a little bigger.
We go a little bigger as well. And I will say, just take a step back, right? Like we don't build these kind of small, medium, and large ones because we're like, oh, well, let's just arbitrarily do small, medium, large, right?
Yeah.
We actually base it on like, what are the missions that people are doing? What are the customer needs? Where's the market today and where's it going? And what we're seeing is this big push in the market towards platforms that are looking for really big payload apertures. Like think of it like 3 meters by 3 meters squared. You can put a huge payload on there.
Wow.
You can do really interesting things like direct to device, huge SAR array, things like that.
Yep.
And that's our biggest platform we call Comet. And that is, think of it as it's like a flat pack configuration. So it stacks like a pancake or stack of pancakes. Very similar to like Starlink in that regard.
But a bit bigger.
About the same as Starlink V2 Mini, actually.
Really?
So similar size to that. Because think of it as like, if you stack it in a Falcon 9 fairing, it kind of maximizes that volume.
Got it.
Just like a Starlink would.
Got it. So let's get back to you. That's Apex, productizing. You're the automobile manufacturer for satellites.
That's exactly right.
Doing it at big scale. You have the craziest vibe table I've ever seen. That thing is
big vibe table.
It's bigger than this car.
I actually think you can put this car on the vibe table 100%.
That'd be a good idea.
It might be one of the largest in, at least in California at this point. Because we talked to the manufacturer, we're like, who else has bought this large? And there were none in California. We, at the testing houses we go to that we used before, we used our in-house vibe. We actually did not see any as big as this one.
Wow.
So, I mean, our whole mentality is like, we want to future-proof everything we're doing, right? I hate spending money, right? Like, I hate spending CapEx, but if we're going to spend money, I want it to be like
we can use it down the road.
Future-proofed. Yeah, exactly. Like, this thing will last us forever.
So you said
quality, like a good car.
Like, this one's a little finicky. So a little fun fact. Did you watch Iron Man, the original Iron Man movie?
Oh, yeah.
With Tony Stark?
Of course.
This is the Tony Stark car.
No way.
Same model, same year.
I love it.
Tony Stark car.
I love it.
Car.
It's fitting. I'm wearing my MIT brass rat that he wore in the movie as well.
Nice.
So there you go.
We couldn't have planned that.
Perfect. So like you told me. No.
I did. Back to you. So Silicon Valley, you sound like you had raised some money before you got into Apex.
Yes.
What were your building blocks up to Apex?
Oh man, it's a crazy journey. So I guess I'll take a step back and have you seen the HBO show Silicon Valley?
I just started rewatching it on the plane yesterday.
Fantastic. So
that house was about a buddy of mine.
Really?
Yes. He lives in Austin, Texas.
So on that note then, keep in mind that entire, especially the first season, was pretty much my life right out of college for the first 3 years. And I don't mean that in the way of like, oh yeah, there were some similarities. Like literally the people that I worked for were producers on that show.
Oh wow.
And we're talking about a day in their life. And then the show happened, and it like echoed it. So to give you some context, right out of college, I actually, out of MIT, I like really wanted to go be entrepreneurial and go build something.
Yep.
And the one thing that I feel like I am very proud of myself in doing is I've never been, now we're talking, I've never been in a situation where it's like, let's go build something for the sake of building it. It's always like, what is the need? Where is there an opportunity? Where's the market fit? Let's go do it.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening was like, I'm graduating college. I know I want to go build something. I don't know what it is. I don't want to go arbitrarily start something for the sake of it, right? Because I think that's destined to fail. And I have this opportunity to work with this amazing entrepreneur, this guy named Mark Pincus.
That name sounds familiar.
Yeah, so he's taken 2 companies public.
Okay.
Support.com and then Zynga.
Yeah.
Self-made billionaire.
Wow.
Just phenomenal entrepreneur.
Good mentor.
Great mentor.
Yeah.
So I was like, I just want to learn by osmosis.
Yeah.
So out of college, I actually went to go work for him as, he called it his technology advisor. And it was kind of similar to a chief of staff, but a little bit more kind of engineering oriented.
Okay.
So he'd have an idea, I'd go rapidly prototype things, I'd scope things out, I'd hire teams, I helped him with all his angel investing, all those, everything in that realm. And fascinating experience, right? Like I learned a ton.
What was the industry? It wasn't space,
so
something else?
It's interesting because I started my career being employed by Zynga because he was CEO at the time.
Okay.
And he was and Zynga's a social gaming company. So he was like, I want to explore augmented reality and virtual reality. So it was all like hardware software interplay.
Straight up Silicon Valley.
Like, straight up, like
the
straight
show.
up. So, no, that's what I mean. It was literally like the show. So I'm like, it's all this like cutting edge technology that I got to work on it with, which which honestly, like, super fun. Can't go wrong. And then what ended up happening is he stepped down as CEO of Zynga. And then he went off to go kind of do his own thing. And I followed him instead of staying at Zynga.
Right.
So I kind of kept working with him throughout, it was about 3 years of working with him. And those 3 years, like, when I say it was literally like the HBO show Silicon Valley, like, there were many scenes in that show that were like straight out of, like, I was like, oh, I did that last week with him.
That's so
like,
funny.
I know where this came from.
I bet your producer friends know my friend. We'll connect after.
I'm sure
I don't want to
there's
drop his
overlap.
name. I don't want to drop his
But
name.
it's for me, it was kind of a cool, like, back and forth, because you know, my parents are comedy writers. It was like a comedy show, like, the producers were there, like, interviewing Mark. I'm just like listening in, being like, this is so cool, like, amazing. So learned a tremendous amount from the guy.
Yeah.
And after doing that for about 3 years, I was like, all right, like, Mark, I love you, but, like, I got to go spread my wings and fly.
Because,
like, you know, like, when you're in a situation where you're learning a lot and you're like that, like, the honest truth is, like, it's always going to be the Mark show, not the Ian show, which is fine. Yeah. But there's a point where the learning becomes asymptotic, and I'm like, okay, you know what? Now I want to go, and I want to go apply something on my own. Yeah. And at that time, it's going to sound crazy, but this was now like 2015, AI was something that I became fascinated with. Now, it was a little early, because right now is the AI boom, right? If only I had become fascinated with it now, I could have raised that $10 trillion valuation. Back then, it wasn't that hot of a thing, but I got really into it. I taught myself all about it, and I realized there was this amazing application where I could take the research I did during my undergrad years, where I was studying how basically humans interact with visual data. So it was at MIT, I worked in this lab that was funded by the Department of Defense, where we were analyzing data from, like, security checkpoints, from satellite imagery, and trying to say, instead of a human analyst staring at this, how would a computer do it? So AI was the answer.
Was that the first time you got some exposure into, like, space technology?
That was.
Okay,
exactly.
got it.
Now, that being said, in, like, middle school and high school, I started, like, the rocketry clubs and, like, was doing all that stuff, like, building my own, like, rocket engines, like, you know, we'd go buy black powder and try to, you know, go to the middle of the dry lake bed. But, like, that was, like, me having fun with it. Like, I had no clue what I was doing. This is, like, my first real experience in the industry.
So how did you go from that, and was there anything else getting into Apex, or you just like, hey, let's start Apex?
Yeah, so where it really stemmed from was effectively, like, I saw this opportunity. We were doing all this with, like, AI work on like all this different, like, visual imagery. So I started a different company, Synapse, and this was like 10 years ago now, right? We were doing AI and computer vision. We were doing like, basically on all these different mediums, selling to customers in the US, internationally, kind of all over the world. And effectively, like, we're in a situation where the company was, like, making sales, and we had a nice team. We raised venture capital dollars, so that was my first exposure to that world.
First time fundraising?
First time fundraising on my own, right? Like, I had seen Pincus fundraise, but, like, I wasn't, like, doing it. It was him doing it.
It's different watching versus, like, having to organically bring it out of you.
And for you, like, for me to be the one to go up to an investor and be like, I have this idea, please, can I have money? First, like, sitting there and being like, oh, I'll make the materials, very different. Like, it's like your reputation's on the line, everything. So raised money for this idea. We, you know, the company grew, but it went kind of asymptotic, right? Like, we weren't growing much more. It was kind of slowing down. And around 2020, we were like, all right, like, should we pivot? What should we do? And then at the time, Palantir wanted to acquire it.
Wow.
A whole long story. We should get drinks sometime. I'll give you the ups and the downs.
Come to the party.
At the party, I'll give you the ups, downs, all the craziness. Long story short, we sold to Palantir.
Wow.
So Palantir bought the company. And at Palantir, they basically said, take this AI tech you developed and deploy it entirely on downstream satellite data. And it was part of this U.S. government program called Project Maven, if you've heard of it. It was basically, Maven is the DoD's basically trying to identify cutting-edge AI technology and how do we apply it to government data. And my job was to basically do all of that on satellite imagery. So I had the opportunity to spend a lot of time now with satellite manufacturers, satellite companies, understanding where the market was going. And what I saw firsthand was this massive shift from effectively, hey, look, like I have a satellite, I want to get into orbit. When's the next launch? Oh, maybe a few years out.
Right.
Like, who are we going to launch on?
Yeah.
SpaceX is blowing up rockets. What's going on? And now, by the time I'm at Palantir in 2020, SpaceX is flying like monthly, super reliably.
Yeah.
You have this whole like wave of companies offering all these grand promises like Astra and Relativity. Fortunately, those didn't pan out, but you know,
Astra just raised $80 million this week.
Chris Kemp, I gotta hand it to the guy. Like, you know, he's I don't know how well you know him, but like the guy is just, he pushes and pushes and pushes, and I respect the hell out of that. Like, he will not take no for an answer. So, you know, there's something to that. Like, he has a passion and belief, and he's
delusional optimism, I think, is one of the best characteristics of a good founder.
You have to say, yeah, it's called the, what did Steve Jobs call it? The, distortion effect, right? You're like you're creating your own reality.
Yeah.
But you know what? If you create your own reality like hard enough and fast enough, guess what? Like, it becomes reality.
It becomes reality.
I mean, we've seen that firsthand in a lot of different ways. So here we are.
And beautiful views, by the way.
Oh my God, look at this.
So, question, we're going to try to do some hot take questions. What is a project that went totally sideways, you had to do something crazy to save, or you did something crazy to like close a deal or an investor?
Oh,
like
man.
You rented a McLaren and you drove him around, and just examples, you know.
Have you ever done that? I wonder where this is coming from.
I don't know.
So no, not at Apex, but at my prior company, Synapse, by far the craziest experience.
Let's hear it.
We were trying to, basically, the AI platform we developed tied into X-ray machines at airport security checkpoints.
Okay.
So you know how you have like TSA looking at your bag and being like, why the hell do you have this gun? And you're like, that's not a gun, that's a water bottle. Like, they're not that good. So we developed this tech to identify weapons. And we were closing a huge deal in Sweden.
Okay.
And, we flew our tech out there, we were doing a demonstration, and then a question you may ask is like, how do you test our tech when it's installed? You gotta bring some weapons. So the easiest way to bring weapons is they actually sell inert weapons. And it's basically like
Hollywood guns.
So it's actually meant for like it's more real than Hollywood guns. So it's like meant for military training purposes.
Oh, okay.
But it's a real gun with the firing pin removed. Like things like that.
Yeah.
Or it's like a grenade with the fuse removed. Things like that. So we owned a bunch of these, obviously, right? Because like we had to test our stuff. And it's not a weapon because it's inert. So you could put it in a check bag and you have to fill out all this paperwork because under X-ray it looks identical.
Yeah.
Like you cannot tell under X-ray, but like you would have to actually take it apart to see it's inert. So all this paperwork. So we ship it to Sweden.
Yeah.
Because we got to test our equipment. We test our equipment, it works, we're about to close the deal. And it was me and one of our engineers who went out there to kind of get this deal done. And it's going well, they're impressed, they really like the technology. And what ends up happening is effectively I'm on the flight home. I'm on the airplane, we're taxiing to the runway. And I get a phone call from like an unknown number, but it's in that country. So I was
you're like, I should probably answer
pick this up. What's going on? And they're like, we're arresting, and like the name of my engineer.
Arresting.
I was like, what do you mean arresting? You mean like giving him money for the contract? Or arresting? What's going on here? So it turns out...
Handcuffs.
I mean, this was like keep in mind, like we had taken the red-eye there, we installed the tech, and the next day we did the demo, and then we were flying back. This was like we were exhausted. And turns out my amazing engineer swapped his carry-on bags. So instead of checking the inert weapons, they saw him trying to board his plane through our technology, carrying, imagine like a carry-on bag.
It worked.
Filled with grenades,
oh my God,
handguns, little receivers,
that agent
lighting up under X-ray. So they like run it because the guy thought it was real. So they like hit the alarm. They're like, we're being attacked.
Shut the airport down.
Literally.
That's hilarious.
It was long story short, It all worked out.
That's the best story so far to that question.
Absolutely.
Oh
incredible.
my God, that's awesome.
I might need you to beep out the name of that airport just so I don't get in trouble.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I mean, like, insane experience. So talk about crazy experiences. Yeah, I would say that's probably the craziest thing that's happened.
Oh my God, that's funny.
Yeah, not as cool as renting a nice car.
Dude, I'm like, I have tears in my eyes. That was so funny.
Pretty epic. Pretty epic. And I mean, it's funny. I don't know if you read that essay a while back, Founder Mode, but it's like sometimes you just got to go fucking hard and you take the red eye, you get there, you do it.
Yeah.
But sometimes it gets back, it bites you a little bit, you know?
Oh my
you
God.
swap the bags.
That's so funny.
Long story short, from then on, that engineer was always allowed to fly an extra day to get a night of sleep. Yeah, he was a little pissed off after that. Understandably. Yeah, but
All right.
fantastic experience.
Great story, my man. Great story. Have you or anyone you know been visited by an alien or seen any sort of, you know, off-world technology? Do you have a good story there?
Yeah, I mean, I cannot confirm or deny whether I am human or an alien.
Totally fine.
No.
Yeah.
You know, I will say, the entire thesis behind Apex was, and the entire reason I started the company was I'm 100% certain that there are aliens out there, and I will send my satellites out there to go find them.
Let's do it.
Let's fucking go.
Yeah, I love it.
I'm kidding a little bit, but in reality, I am a big believer that if you just look at the sheer, like, infinite expansion of the universe and the probability, like, there's no way we're the only life form out there.
Yeah.
So I'm a big believer that there are aliens out there. Do I think that the New Jersey drones were UFOs? Probably not.
Yeah.
But do I think that in the same way that we've observed other planets and things like that we have been observed, or like what with other, you know, aliens are like what's out there? Probably. I would love one day to meet an alien. I just only hope they're smarter than us.
Have you met Elon yet? Because I hear there's a...
You know, whether he's human, robot, I don't know. Cyborg, who knows? Who knows?
What's your favorite technology from sci-fi you'd love to see in the real world today?
Oh my God. So so a teleporter, something
Beam
like
me
that.
up, Scotty.
The amount of time I spent on airplanes,
Yeah.
way too much.
Way too much.
And the convenience, and I'm a big like in-person guy. Like
Yeah.
I love the face-to-face, the in-person, the sitting down with somebody. So like anytime I'm on a Zoom call, I'm like falling asleep. But if I'm in that same room and like me and you are sitting together, I'm like hyper engaged.
So much better.
So I would just say like every time I have a Zoom call, if I could just like hit a button and be there in person, oh my God, I would love it.
That's a good
What about you? What's your go-to?
Ooh, it's either going to be that or warp drive.
I like it.
Some sort of new propulsion, so we can go visit.
I mean, the
these
guy
aliens.
driving the fast car wants to go a little bit faster, so I get it.
Imagine that.
It's like it all adds up.
So, you've seen a lot of startups in the space industry.
I have.
Without naming...
Maybe too many.
Yeah. Without naming a company, is there like an idea that's being pitched, but it's really just snake oil? It needs to be not funded.
There's so many.
But it's getting funded.
So many. No, look, I'll be the first to admit, in general, I really want there to be more innovation, more companies, more great things in the, not just space industry, but deep tech in general.
Yeah.
And I think when there are companies that pop up and they're pitching these science fiction ideas that are just too far out,
Yep.
It hurts everybody, right? Because like you and me are starting companies that like real value, real things are coming to be, and then when you maybe have like a really sexy VC pitch and you know how to get the VCs all excited, you're just burning money.
Yeah.
Like that is a waste. Like I don't think that's cool. So the ones that like bug me the most are, frankly, I think like the cislunar economy is, will there be a cislunar economy? 100% yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Is it going to be here tomorrow? Definitely not. So I wouldn't go raise venture dollars yet. Most of these are not, by the way, things like it's snake oil, it's bullshit, it'll never happen. It's more the timing is wrong, and that's going to hurt everyone. So like, cislunar economy is a big one. That one like frustrates me because, you know, it ends up being something where it ends up being a distraction from kind of, I think, the core focus of where the money should be going.
Yeah.
Another one that I'm a little bit skeptical of is anything that's like banking on Starship happening in the next couple of years. Which is
that's a hot take.
Maybe it's a little controversial.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a great venture bet, and here's why.
Okay.
Will Starship start flying reliably in the next couple of years? 100% yes.
Okay.
So I'm not doubting whether Starship will fly, to be very clear. But what I'm saying is, if you're SpaceX, what are you going to go use Starship for?
Your own stuff, probably.
Your own Starlink. Starlink V3 requires Starship. It doesn't fit in a Falcon 9.
Yeah.
So the unit economics of Starlink requires Starship. So think of how many Starships you need flying for that.
So you're saying the capacity
and then
won't
they have
be there.
HLS,
Yeah.
right? So they have to get to the moon, and then they want to go to Mars.
Yeah.
So that's a shit ton
Big priorities.
of manifested Starship flights.
Yeah.
So when I look at that, I say, okay, great. You're banking on you little startup, like all the respect in the world, but like tiny company. You want to go pay SpaceX for a full Starship, and you think they're going to prioritize you that has a couple $1 million in venture funding versus their own? Like, it's just not realistic. Now, if people,
There's something to be said about this.
so like I just think like it's not. Now, if you're a big company and maybe it's a little different,
Yeah.
but like the startups who are banking on that, like I just don't think it's realistic. I also think the other thing that bugs me about the Starship pitches is there is a huge difference between cost and price. And I'm just ranting, so I'm sorry, man. This is, you know.
This is what this is about.
I'm here.
This is what this is about.
Yeah, it's the horsepower just bringing it out of me. Cost and price.
Beautiful V8.
This is what we did this podcast for. Now we're talking.
In the 30, well, we won't say what the speed limit is.
Hey, you know, the drive from Denver to here, the speed limit goes up to 75, which in California, I appreciate.
Oh, speaking of speed limits, so one of the questions,
Yeah.
how fast have you ever been?
Oh, God.
Not an airplane, but like, you know, on the ground.
Yeah.
How
Like,
fast have you been?
let's just say I used to drive a lot between LA and the Bay Area.
Yeah.
Because I lived in the Bay, I grew up in LA.
Give me a number.
There were some fast speeds.
We can't give you a ticket now.
I got a speeding ticket.
Oh, you did?
Oh yeah, I've got a.
You got a driving award.
Yeah.
You got a driving award.
Yeah, exactly. I did get a speeding ticket. I believe it was for like 96 or something.
Okay.
And I will just say that was by no means the like. Let's just say that there was a big open stretch and it might have been a little faster for some extent.
So you were on the brakes by the time somebody had it
Yeah,
right.
or it was just slowing down. But it was an empty road. You know, safety is the most important thing. So I was younger and dumb then. So you know, now we're safe. But how about you?
Oh, speed for me?
Oh, yeah.
200 and a 45.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where?
A cotton field and a back road outside of Ole Miss, where I went to college.
What car?
I was on a bike. I used to buy and sell motorcycles in college.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I just wanted to say that I'd hit 200, so I only did it once, but yeah.
Wow. That's fucking cool.
It was
oh
fun.
my god.
It was fun. So,
holy shit.
blank check.
Yeah.
What vehicle would you get?
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah.
So I will say
You seem like you're into horsepower.
I do. My dad is very into the Challengers.
Okay.
And
yeah.
He
Like the Hellcats and stuff?
Yeah. He loves those. So driving those with him is fun.
Yeah.
I do like the horsepower. I will say I recently got a Tesla.
Okay.
And the acceleration is phenomenal.
Yeah.
But I miss this feeling so much.
The emotion is taken out of it.
Oh my god, yeah. So like for a daily driver, like I don't know, but if I were to like, God, I don't know. It's a tough question.
Where do you may drop you off?
Where do you pick me up is perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
So blank check.
Oh man, I don't know. You know, I have to say it would probably be a newer car. It wouldn't be like some vintage.
Yeah. Okay.
Something. I don't know. I really, honestly, like it's tough. What about you? What would be your?
So today.
Yeah.
I would go get the Aston Martin Valkyrie.
Okay.
Base
Have
price.
you driven one?
Oh God, no. Base price is $4 million.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Holy.
It's a Formula
Wow.
One car with like doors.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I can see you driving that.
Oh,
Let's just say, let's plan for our next podcast session to be in that car. You'll make the money by then.
I have a friend who has the first one delivered to the U.S.
Really?
So you have to come to Atlanta for it.
For that, I would. I'm in. There's always a reason to go somewhere.
Ian,
Let's do it.
It's been fun, brother.
Dude, this has been great.
Awesome.
This is fantastic. Thank you for doing this.
That's Full Burn. Thank you guys for watching, and look forward. Before we close, who would you nominate to come on the podcast next?
Oh man, do you know Matt Geilich from Astroforge?
Yeah, I know him.
He would be. Have you done this with him?
No, I haven't.
He would be fantastic. He will drop like an F-bomb every like
That's all right. We've had a couple.
every other second. But like he is the guy who would like we'd be driving around and he'd be like, "Why are you braking right now? Go faster." So I just feel like it would be a good fit for that reason. Like it would be a natural fit.
It would be a natural fit. Well, now we're ending. We're back at the Broadmoor. It's going to be a great week at Space Symposium. If you've never been out here, it's probably the best conference.
The conference to come to every year.
Conference
100%.
And a Monday night kickoff party is going to be great.
I'll see you tonight, man.
All right, see you tonight.